because my mic wasn't on me. Okay. Hey, welcome back to Toy Box Travelers. Today we're actually going to be talking about the Wave review for the Fantastic Four from Hasbro. It was released this past week and it has a ton of figures, 8 to be exact. This is not entirely a Build-A-Figure wave, right? It has a little bit for everybody, right? It has some deluxe-ish sets. It has some Fan Channel exclusive, some card backs, some new stuff, some bad stuff, and some horrible stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at this wave. As always, you know that when I grade figures, I grade them on four categories. Aesthetics, do I like it? Utility, can I use it? Either for dioramas or for photography, etc. Or can I use any of their accessories, right? Longevity, am I going to be happy with this figure on the long run? Or am I just going to be waiting for the next one to be eventually released? And price point, we are all in a budget, so definitely we need to look at how expensive or cheap these figures are, okay? Each one of these categories will be graded on a 4-point scale, with 1 being absolutely terrible, 2 being it's below the standard, 3 it meets all the requirements, it is average, and 4 is exceeds all expectations. Go out and get it. Pre-order it right away. Now, if we want to pre-order it, okay, it needs to score at least 13 or higher, right? Any figure that, once you add up all those categories, adds up to 13, we're going to end up pre-ordering. Now, I invite you to use this rubric, but remember that this is my personal rubric. It may not work for you. You may have your own, and that's perfectly fine, okay? So, without further ado, let's get on to this wave. So the first one, we have the Blue-Eyed Boy himself. We have Thing, Ben Grimm. Now, needless to say, all of these are in this retro card backs, which look really good, except for the fact that if you guys remember, right, the original card back had that really nice, like not translucent, it was this like shiny plastic that it was bright and all the colors would just like shine on the light, and it was really cool. And I'm kind of sad that they didn't go with with that type of plastic. I realized that it was going to be a little bit more expensive, but they could have done it. I mean, this looks pretty cool already. Now, looking at the box, right, we do have Thing with 1 set of hands and 2 sets of heads, okay, or 1 set of heads. Now already we're seeing that we're kind of missing a set of hands here, right? We only have this grippable hands, right? There's no pairs of fists, there's no pairs of grips, it's just 1 set, which already kind of weakens the figure, right? So actually in the other pictures it looks like they're there. They might be concealed by that little banner. Okay, so we'll assume that there's 4 sets of there's 4 hands here, okay? Because for the grading, let's go ahead and do aesthetics. First, I love this figure, okay? This is the best thing that has ever been released in plastic form, okay? Marvel Select, no, doesn't even come close to it. This one is amazing. However, this is not the first time we've seen this figure, okay? We've seen Thing. This is our 3rd time by now, okay? So it's not going to exceed expectations because, again, there's nothing new other than just a little bit of deco. There's only so much you can go with Thing, okay? Utility. Well, utility, this is a 4 for anyone who doesn't have a Thing figure, right? If you don't have it, okay, I highly recommend you get this one. But if you do, like me, okay, this is not going to be as useful to you, okay? Because you already have 1. Right? And unless you're trying to customize, right, some, like I can see people doing like battle damage, maybe doing some sculpt, then it's not going to be as useful to you. Longevity, this is going to be a 3. If this is your thing, right, no pun intended, this is going to essentially please you in your collection for a long time. And overall, this figure is always going to have a decent resale value, okay? And lastly, we have price point. For the amount of plastic that we get, and assuming we have 2 sets of hands, right? This is going to be a 4, Okay, so this is an absolute great offering from Hasbro. And it gets a 12. It's not a pre-order for me simply because, okay, I already have one. But if you do not, go out and get this one. This is your third chance to get this awesome figure. Okay, so 12 ain't too bad. Nothing to scoff at. Let's see if Johnny Storm, the Human Torch himself, does any better. Now the Human Torch already from the card back, we can see that the translucent plastic is a little darker now. It's not as bright as the first one. We're going to have alternative sets of hands, right? We have the fist and the gripping hand, which is pretty much come standard at the moment, right? And we have the flame effects we've seen hundreds of times before, okay? Now, nothing too crazy on this one, okay? So for that alone, we're gonna go ahead and give aesthetics a 4. I think this one looks much better than the original because the shade of plastic is nicer and it has the comic accurate lining, which makes it look real cool. Okay, utility, this is going to be a 2. Again, this is going to be a re-release of a figure that we already have. So if you already have Johnny Storm, right, and you don't really need to get this one. I've heard talks through the grapevine that you can actually customize this to be the mechanical Human Torch so that you can recreate some of those really old comic book covers, which might be a thing. Okay, longevity, I think this is a 3, right? Even if you already have it, this figure, it's going to look great in your display for a long time, but with the caveat that, remember, the plastic that is translucent kind of always breaks down faster. Okay, so take care of that figure. Price point, I think this is a 3. This is not a 4 simply because I think we could have gotten an alternative head, so a different expression. I think this is the same expression we've seen since the first Human Torch. Okay, I would have liked to seen an upset or a yelling, face. That would have made this a slam dunk. Okay, so for now, it still gets a 12. It's a great figure. If you don't have it, by all means, go out and get it. If not, you can afford to pass or wait for a sale or until you find it in a really good opportunity. Now, the man, the myth, the legend, the boss, okay? Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. Now, upon first inspection, you're thinking, whoa, there's a lot in this box. And you would be right, there is a lot, okay? But consider that the previous Mr. Fantastic, the first one released, brought 2 alternative arms with bendy wire, and it brought 2 sets of hands, right? So it had some gripping hands and a fist hand. And it also brought the ultimate nullifier. So Mr. Fantastic has this precedent of giving you a lot in that box, okay? So this one, I'm telling you now, is gonna get a 4 for aesthetics. It looks great. I like the fact that you can take advantage of that mold to do something completely different, which is put on his lab coat, which, if you guys don't know, half of the time you see Reed Richards in comic books, he's wearing a lab coat because he's just a scientist and that's how he rolls, okay? Now, as far as utility, man, 100%, this is a 4. I don't think I've ever given any other figure 4s and 4s back to back, because even if you already have this figure, right? Every single Mr. Fantastic figure that we've gotten, I think, has the ability to remove his limbs. So technically, you can take your first Mr. Fantastic, remove his limbs, put on the coat, and put these arms, and it would work. It's just amazing. So all day, 4s all around, okay? Longevity, I think this is going to be a 3, and this is going to be one to get for sure. The only reason why he didn't get a 4 was because, once again, we've received this figure before, okay? And the expression it's still the same, okay? Price point, I think for what you get, this is a 4. By far the highest, okay? The highest score ever to be received on this show, okay? I don't know when we're gonna get a perfect 4s all across, perfect 16, but this one comes pretty damn close. Okay, so if you don't have this one, go out and get this one. I know it's sold out in Hasbro Pulse at the moment, but trust me, you're gonna get another chance Big Bad Toy Store is still a thing. So go out and get this one. Whew. Let's see. Now this one. I'm going to need a minute for this one, okay? Because, oh my God. Sue Storm. It seems like no matter what Hasbro does, Sue Storm, it's always coming up short, okay? The first release had that beautiful translucent arm, right? But it didn't give you a replacement, so you couldn't have a completely powered down Sue Storm, okay? All right, the second gave you an amazing head sculpt, but the hair was always in action mode, right? So it was always like in movement. So when you had it just sitting or standing in a neutral position, it was really difficult to believe because her hair was always flowing in the wind. Okay, now this one, hands look okay, the effect is great, the hair is amazing, but oh my God, that head sculpt. We have come very far, guys, in the world of action figures, right? Every single release gives us better and better head sculpts. It's part of the reason why we excused having to buy a second or third or fourth of a particular character. Just look at Chris Evans's Captain America. You know, they keep releasing the same body, but the face gets better each and every time. This head sculpt missed the mark, okay? I hope, although it's unlikely, that they go ahead and change this head sculpt a bit, because it is a shame that it looks this poor. It looks like we're back in the, you know, Toy Biz, the early Toy Biz days. Okay, these helps would look, doesn't look good. Okay, the hair is fine, the hair is okay, and I know that we can do some head swaps, but this is not that great. Okay, so for that and for that alone, this is going to get a 1. Okay, this aesthetics is a no-go. Okay, utility, again, it's a 1. We already had Sue Storms before. They have better head sculpts than the other, right? If you bought the first and the second, you already have a action as well as a neutral head stand, so I don't really see a reason to get this one. And the effect is a repeat, okay? So we're not offering anything new here. Longevity, you can rest assured this one is going to be the lowest selling figure out of this wave, okay? You're going to be able to pick it up later, I'm pretty sure. So I wouldn't really rush to get this one. Now, as far as price point, this is average considering what you get. Alternative hands, you know, an effect, right? It's okay, it's average, nothing too amazing, but nothing too bad, okay? So hot off the heels from the highest score ever in this show, we get the lowest score in this show. And I'm kind of terrified, guys, to find the lowest score, okay? What action figure will actually get the perfect 4? That would be ridiculous, okay? So let's go ahead and leave this way behind and talk about something new, something fresh, something that we desperately needed. We needed Psychoman. Okay, now Psychoman had a really interesting turnaround because from tease, thanks to Dwight, to release was really quick. Okay, now when you look at this character, right, it's something that's completely new in the line, never been made as a toy before. So already this has a lot of going for it. But past the first impression, you start looking, you know what? There ain't that much in that box, okay? I don't see an alternative fist. I don't see an alternative hand. I only see one head and one accessory. This is going to be a little rough, okay? And looking at the alternative pictures, it looks like that's the case. One hand, one fist. One open hand, one fist. And now that hand is just like this, and it's definitely made so he can hold his accessory, but he has no other purpose. You know, maybe he can choke somebody out, you know, like this. I don't know. It seems like a really weird type of pick. Now, for that reason, it didn't get a complete 4. Okay, I think the figure looks good. It's just I feel like it could have been a little bit better. That hand sculpt, has limited uses. Okay, utility. This is a new figure. Of course, it's gonna get a 4, right? It looks amazing, right? I wish he had more hands or expressions, but it's all right. Longevity, I think at the moment, this one is a highly desired figure because it's the first one in the line. Are they gonna give us some down in the future? Probably. But because this character is so obscure, I don't really think so. Okay, so I would get this one. Price point, I think this is a 2. And again, this is where the lack of accessories, the lack of alternative accessories like hands and heads comes into mind. I don't think we're getting all that much, even though this is a completely new sculpt. And for that reason, this one gets a 13 and is an instant pre-order for me. So Action Figure Expert, who was actually wondering whether or not I'm pre-ordering some things, yeah, I am. This is one of them. Sue, I'm gonna pass on. But Reed Richards, definitely. Okay. Whew. Almost there, guys. Now, let's talk about the High Evolutionary. Now, full disclosure, I am not super familiar with the High Evolutionary, okay? But I can recognize that this action figure looks dope. Okay, I like the color scheme. It really reminds me of, I believe it's called Mercury from the Metal Man in DC, right? It has a very similar red and red face aesthetic. But a lot of people have been looking to get this High Evolutionary in the line, and it's finally here, so rejoice. And just looking at the pictures, I really like it. I love the way it looks. The rivets, which they mentioned was completely painted and sculpted, right? Looks great. So for that reason, he's gonna get a 3 in aesthetics, okay? It doesn't get a 4 because again, although I like it, it doesn't really wow me, right? Utility. Utility is a new character, absolutely. It's gonna get a 4, right? Longevity, I think this also gets a 4. I don't think we're gonna get a High Evolutionary anytime soon other than this one. And because there is a lot packed in on this figure, I think this one's going to be a lot more desirable come down the road, okay? And lastly, price point. I think price point is a 3, right? We get alternative sets of hands. We get a nice new figure with good paint applications. I think this is good, okay? Now, I do wish we had an alternative heads or some blast effect or something, but I guess we don't, all right? So, but this one is a 14. That is definitely high. So I'm going to pre-order this one without question, okay? So at this point in time, we're gonna go ahead and move away from the standard wave because that was it. We had the original Fantastic Four and the 2 villains, okay? That's the standard wave that is going to be released in the card backs, and it's up for pre-order now at Big Bad Toy Store, in probably Dark Side Toys, as well as Hasbro Pulse if it is sold out there already. But the Hasbro team let us know that there's going to be a fan channel exclusives, right? We're gonna have the Invisible Woman in a full translucent plastic, okay? It's gonna still come in the same card back, but this time with a mailer or a sleeve, okay? Which is going to make it really nice, kind of like that Deadpool we got way back, or the Hulk, right? But the difference is that this time around, the price isn't going up. Okay, if you guys remember, the Deadpool was $30 or so, or sometimes even more, okay? This one is still $22, so I think the Invisible Woman may be redeemed on this mode, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look. Aesthetics, okay? Now remember, the same sculpt, I gave it a 1 on my previous one. This one gets a 4, simply because the aesthetic of being completely translucent, it's super cool, okay? And it kind of hides, you know, the poor sculpting of the face, right? So you can definitely use this one without too much trouble on any shoots, right? And it's going to look nice despite the lackluster sculpt. Okay, utility, like I said, you can use this one. Go ahead, put it on pictures, put lights piping through it. It's gonna look amazing. Okay, I think this is a slam dunk of a figure. Longevity 3. It doesn't get a 4 because remember that plastic wears out, right? Remember that Iceman? That Iceman has broken crotches all over the place. So this one is gonna, you would get a 4, but the plastic is definitely brittle, so it gets a 3. And price point, this one gets a 3 because I do like what we see here. I think this is really cool. Now I don't know the technical aspects of production. I don't know if producing this figure in this form is actually cheaper because you have to skip all the paint altogether, or if it's actually more expensive because the plastic is more expensive. Not entirely sure. So I'm gonna leave it at 3 for the moment. But all in all, this one gets a 14. Okay, and this is going to be an instant pre-order for me, especially because even with this mailer or the sleeve, its price doesn't go up. So good on you, Hasbro. I like that. Okay. Now the second figure that's going to be released in the same type of mailer is going to be Johnny Storm, but this time in a depowered form. Okay. Now this one isn't something that we haven't seen before, right? We've seen this this head sculpt many a times. Okay. We've seen the same flame effects, etc. And we're getting the same hands, all the same, except for the fact that it isn't translucent. Okay. How do I feel about this one? More importantly, how are you feeling about this one? Okay, because it's a bit of an oddball for me. Okay, I feel that aesthetics, just on looks alone, this is a 3. It's a great buck, looks good, head sculpt is okay, right? And the flame effects, you know, are detachable and it gives you options. Okay, great. Okay, utility, I think this is a 2. All right, simply because if you're going to cherry pick, right, the Fantastic Four, you're going to pick from this wave, you're not going to be in a rush to get every single character with the same type of clothes, right, with the same uniform, right? I literally only want the head sculpt for this one, and if I get the whole body, I'm probably going to paint it so that it looks like the first wave, because that's my preferred color. Longevity, I think this is a 2. Right? I think that, you know, this isn't something that we haven't seen before and people can pass on it. We might see this one go on sale, although for the fact that it is a kind of fan channel, it may be more difficult. So I'll leave that one up to your discretion. Now, as far as price point, I'm going to give this one a 1 simply because the accessories we get are all the same. I would have loved to see a Johnny Storm with no flame effects, but give me something completely different, you know? Give me another head sculpt, something with sunglasses, something with bravado, because Johnny has a lot of personality, and the fact that they only give you this like type of like smirking head sculpt, it's cool, but why not give me an upset head sculpt, a yelling head sculpt, you know? That would have been really, really cool. But we keep seeing the same. And for that, it's gonna get an 8. All right, this is not my favorite figure out of the wave at all. Okay, so these were the last 2 special editions from that Fantastic Four wave. Okay, and as a recap, right, I feel like the must-gets are that Reed Richards, because you can use it even with all the other figures, the 2 villains, right, Psychoman and the High Evolutionary, and the translucent Sue Storm. Okay, those are the ones that I'm going to be personally pre-ordering. However, if you haven't gotten a Fantastic Four team on your shelf yet, I would say all of these are absolute must-gets. Okay, so that concludes the original wave, but the Hasbro boys decided to go ahead and give us an extra pre-order announcement, and this time they sprinkle a little X-Men, you know, onto onto the meal, and honestly, that was exactly what I needed. This is a 3-pack, and it's going to be featuring characters from X-Force. And I absolutely love this pack, okay? Number 1 is the redemption of Cannonball No Legs, okay? So now that meme is finally over, okay? We are going to get that one character in a neutral position, and more importantly, we get a neutral face sculpt, which was really cool of them to include, okay? And also, if you guys are observant, right, the Cannonball, if you look at this image, has different goggles on each, okay? The circular are a little bit more classic, while the square aviator ones are a little bit more modern, which is kind of cool. Now we get Domino in her classic nonsensical 90s costume, right? And then we also get Richter, okay? And then Richter is a really awesome character. I think we needed him more than anybody else because he completes a lot of teams. But just looking at this and just how 90s this look is, with the bandana, the little tassels in the biceps, and the long boots, it's just amazing. It's a stroke of genius. I love it. Now I wish we would have gotten different accessories, right? We've seen those power accessories time and time again, but heck, it's all right. Now let's take a look at these figures. All right, and we'll look at them as a group, not individually, okay? Because this is a 3-pack, so everyone needs a cumulative score, right? This is a group activity. First and foremost, aesthetics. If you didn't know it by now, I really enjoy these ones. I think these guys are 4 together. They all look great. I mean, look at this lineup. Hey, it's a ready to photograph set. Literally take them out of the package, post them next to one another, and it's great. Okay, I love it. Okay, I feel that the head sculpts are great. I feel that the accessories are okay, and I feel that the look on each one, as well as the paint, is good. Utility, I think this is a 3, right? I know that not everyone feels the need to build every X-Men team ever, so that's why it's going to get a 3. But personally, I feel like this one's fill a lot of really important holes within the X-Men franchise. So for that reason, they're going to get a 3. Longevity, you know that 3-packs always increase in price, but more importantly, I feel like these characters are probably not going to be released in these garments anytime soon, okay? Richter, I think and Domino, I think we consider them a one-shot. And Cannonball, this is the second time we get Cannonball in this attire. So if there's any more Cannonballs down the line, it's probably going to be a more modern take. So I will go ahead and grab this one simply because it is so unique. Now, as far as price point, we know this is a 3-pack, so it's not going to be $22.99, right? It's going to be in the 60s range, but it makes sense. 2, 4, 6, 60, right? And for that reason, this one scores a 14, and this one was actually the one I pre-ordered right away, because this is the one I wanted. Now, I ended up pre-ordering it from Hasbro Pulse, which as a member, I get free shipping, so the price was okay. If you buy it from the Disney store, I think your price ends up being a little higher, okay, because of their prices and that way they ship. So I would say pick and choose, okay, which one gives you the better deal. Okay, I know it's just a few dollars, but it may go in a long way. Okay, so there you have it, guys. We have the one, the only Hasbro figures already ranked, and for that reason, okay, we're gonna go ahead and end up the video here today. So thank you very much for watching this wave review, and if you agree with my ranking, great. If you don't, please let me know what you rank these figures and which ones will you be picking up, which ones have you pre-ordered, right? If there are some things that you like about this figure, some things you don't, I want to know. I read each and every comment, okay? Thank you very much for sticking around, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when more videos will be released. In the pipeline, I have my very first McFarlane Toys review, so that one should be fun, right? Lots to say about that one. And we're gonna go ahead and wait until we get new news about Galactus. So there's a video coming down the pipeline for that. So stick tuned, and until then, see you next time.